Hello world, welcome back to another episode of New to the Game. We're so glad that you're here. I hope that you've been enjoying these episodes so far because it's only gonna get better. I believe the songwriter said that it's up and it's stuck, alright? Okay, so enough with the greetings. With Thanksgiving coming around very fast, I figured it was imperative that we learn how to make some side dishes. Well, so that you can learn how to make some side dishes. Because you know Thanksgiving is coming around and you want to be able to bring something better than plates and cups, right? So today we're making 3 different side dishes. We got green beans, Cajun corn, and sweet potatoes. And the food is going to be so good that they're going to say, make sure you bring that back next year. That's what they're going to say after you bring this to Thanksgiving. So let's go ahead and get started with it. Now today we're going to be making a green vegetable. We're not going to be making greens. I think that might be a little bit too advanced for this. We're not making greens. They'll definitely talk about you if you don't make it right, okay? So we're going to start off with our green beans. I have these French cut green beans. They just taste better to me. They taste fresher. So I have these right here. So in a small pan, I'm going to have some water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to boil the water in the pan. And in the water, I have these 3 chicken cubes, right? So the chicken cube is going to help flavor the water. And I don't want the water to like boil, to steam, because I want the green beans to really cook down into the chicken flavor. Now if you want to add in meat like bacon or pork or turkey, this is a great way to add that in. You can just pop that in there too, but for this one we're going to go meatless. So I have my water. It's going to start boiling here in a second. But for the green beans, you know, they're really long. If you want to take the ends off, the ends are pretty much cut for the most part, so you really don't have to worry about that depending on which ones you get. People call these string beans. I call them green beans. I'm not saying that's weird to call them string beans, but you know, it's your prerogative. So we got our water over here. It's starting to warm up. I'm gonna take these chicken cubes. I have 3 of them and about half a pan of water. If you're gonna cook these in a pot would be great too. So these chicken cubes, they're basically chicken broth in a cube, right? So they're highly concentrated, so once they hit the water, it's just gonna flavor the water more. If you want to just use chicken broth, you can. Chicken broth to me just kind of tastes a little watered down when you buy it from the store. It just tastes like, you know, a chicken man just took a little sip out of the water and they said that's chicken broth water. So I'm gonna add these into the water as it starts to boil, and then we'll add in our green beans. Now we got this is boiling very nicely. I'm kind of stir it around, make sure it's dissolving well. It just smells amazing. So it's got a nice boil, so I'm going to add in the green beans. Now you want to make sure that they're not fully submerged. The point is just kind of just to steam them all the way through, but you don't want them fully submerged in the water. You just want them to cook all the way until the water just about all the way evaporates. All right, now we have our corn here. We have fresh corn. And so with this, what I'm gonna do is we're gonna cut the corn off the cob for our Cajun corn. I'm just gonna cut it straight down. If you want to use canned corn, you can. I just want to use fresh corn. So I'm gonna scoop this. So I have 3 ears of corn for this one. Depending on how many people you want to feed will determine how many ears you'll need. You want to try and cut as close to the cob as you can to get the most corn out of it. So to this corn, we have all the corn in this bowl. We're making Cajun corn, so we're gonna have just the corn by itself, and then we're gonna add in red bell pepper and onion. So the red bell pepper is just gonna give it a nice flavor to it, as well as it's gonna give it a bright color. And we're just gonna dice these bell peppers. So I think I'm just going to do half a bell pepper of that. This is the other half to the side. Slide that. With this onion. Onions add great flavor to any dish. If you don't like onions, I think it's time we grow up a little bit. So I like to take mine, the best, easiest way to me, to peel them because they have so many layers. You know, shout out to Shrek and Donkey and the layers, just like an onion. If you cut the top off, to me, it's easier to take the peel off as well. And you know the thing about onions, they say, you know, the strong onions, they make you cry. If you sit a bowl of cold water close to the onion, it'll help you not cry while you're cutting the onions. So that's nice and peeled. Take that. I'm going to do half an onion. And I'm just going to take that. And then, like I said about the peppers, nobody wants just a big chunk of onion, so I'm just gonna go ahead and break these down just a little bit more, just so that they're finely chopped. Then I'm gonna add this into our corn and our peppers. So for this, I want to toss these, kind of blend them all together. Our green beans are over here, they're cooking down, cooking on into the broth. Okay, that looks great. Sit there right there. Just kind of turn these a little bit. So like I said, the water, the broth, it'll start to evaporate, and that's really what you want. So for our corn, I'm going to take a little bit of olive oil. Probably should have opened this up. Take that light drizzle. We don't really do measurements around here, just do a light drizzle. That's a heavy drizzle, but we'll take it. Just so that everything is coated nicely. Alright, so our green beans, they're at a good point. Once your water is about halfway out, the water, your broth, you want to go in and you're going to turn it down from a boil to a nice simmer. And once you do that, I'm going to add in a few seasonings to it. I have Cajun seasoning. Then we got some garlic powder. And a little bit of onion powder. I'm also going to add just a little bit of minced garlic. About a little spoonful. Just drop that in there. I'm going to turn this down. Let it simmer. Then what we're gonna do, we're gonna cook our corn. So I got my pan right here. I'm gonna take some butter, about a tablespoon of butter to start. Tablespoon of butter. Gonna drizzle some olive oil in there as well. So we got our butter, our olive oil in this pan. I'm gonna add some minced garlic to this pan. And then I'm just going to add the corn into there. Just kind of stir that around. Really just want it to brown. So I'm not going to stir it. I'm going to watch it so it doesn't burn. But you don't want it to get mushy. So I'm going to sit that right there. So next we have our sweet potatoes. Our sweet potatoes right here. So we're gonna make kind of like a sweet potato casserole. So I have sugar and cinnamon right there, as well as some butter. But I'm gonna start with peeling the sweet potatoes. So for these sweet potatoes, I just have two because I'm not feeding that many. I'm gonna peel these little stringies off. And I'm gonna start by cutting these ends off of the potato. And then smart people peel away from them. I think geniuses peel toward them. So you don't want to cut too deep to where you're losing some of the sweet potato, but you want to cut deep enough to where you're not having to keep going back and forth with cutting the skin off. And then there are these little like imperfections, the little dots, you know, nobody's ugly, nobody's less than, but you know, you do want to take those out of the potato. It's a little plastic surgery, a little cosmetic. And so this will bake in the oven. So I have my oven preset to 375. So I have my sweet potatoes. Went ahead and cut them up. I'm gonna cut them into these small pieces. And when you do that, it's just gonna help them cook down a little faster. And so I have a pot of water. And this pot of water is going to boil our sweet potatoes. So I'm gonna add them to the water. And I'm gonna have our sweet potatoes to boil, and you want them cooked down until they're very, very tender, easy to mash, easy to cook. So for our corn, it's nice and brown. I'm gonna turn it off. You can see it's still got the nice color. Our red bell peppers are gonna turn orange, which is a good sign. So to this, I'm gonna add some butter, about a tablespoon of room temperature butter. Then I'm gonna add a couple shakes of black pepper. And then our Cajun seasoning. And a little bit of garlic powder. Our onions in this are nice caramelized, which is also a good sign that it's done. And then to that, I'm gonna add a couple dashes of paprika, just for color. So our corn is done. We're gonna have this dish for it. Gonna pour that in. All right, so our corn is done. Nice and yummy. Looks good and yummy. So we have our green beans. As you can see, they've simmered. So once they start to simmer, that's when they really start to soften down. You can kind of see there's still some juice in them, so they're not dried out. You can see the garlic in there. I'm gonna take these, I'm gonna sit them in this pan. This dish. Don't want the green beans too mushy, because nobody likes mushy greens. There, right on the top. Then our green beans are done. Smells so good. So we have 2 or 3 of our sides done. We have our corn, our green beans. Next, we're gonna finish up our sweet potatoes. All right, so our sweet potatoes are done. A good way to know that they're done, you should be able to stick a fork right into them without trouble. And you can kind of see that the fork just goes right through it, and they're easy to mash. So I'm gonna take these. Water. We're gonna put them in a bowl so that we can mash or mix them together with some brown sugar, some cinnamon. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my fork and I'm just gonna kind of mash them together. And then I'm gonna start my whisk. The next thing I wanna do, add some butter. I feel like Paula Deen today. All this butter was going in. It's okay. You know, drink your water, go do a little exercise, you'll be okay. About a tablespoon of butter. Mix that in. So to this, I'm gonna add some cinnamon. I'm gonna add some white sugar. Some brown sugar. Put some of that in there. I'm gonna mix these around. just like that. Now I'm gonna make them a little bit creamy. So I have some sweetened condensed milk. I'm not gonna add too much, just how you would add a little bit of regular milk to kind of loosen it up. Scooping from the bottom, no potato left behind. Like I said earlier, I have my oven set to 375. This is gonna go in the oven just to bake a little bit. You can eat it just like this, just out the bowl, you know, want a little snack, a little sweet potato snack. Same as all the others. I'm gonna take that. Then I'm gonna add in some brown sugar on top. I have light brown sugar, you can use darker brown sugar, just know it's gonna be a bit sweeter. And then we're gonna sprinkle some cinnamon on top of that. Then we're gonna pop this in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. And there we have it. We have our 3 sides right here, ready for Thanksgiving. You can bring these, I promise you. Next year they're gonna be saying, who made the sweet potatoes last year? Make sure they bring that again this year. So we got our corn right here, our green beans, our sweet potatoes, and there you have it. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure when you cook this, tag us on Instagram at @theairco_. So make sure you tag us in that, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel right below, as well as click the bell so you're notified every time a new video comes out. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.